Good morning, students. Today we'll continue our lecture with antipsychotic drugs. Today's topic is the adverse effects and therapeutic uses of antipsychotic drugs. First, the adverse effects. Neuroleptics are very safe drugs in single or infrequent doses. Death from overdose are almost unknown. So it is a very safe drug clinically. So first adverse effect is obviously on central nervous system. Drowsiness, lethargy, mental confusion, more with low potency agents. Tolerance develops very soon of all these problems. Increased appetite and weight gain, but it is not with haloperidol. Aggravation of seizure and in epileptics. Point to be remembered is, in sometimes it has been seen that even patients who are not suffering from any convulsive disorders may develop seizure attack with these drugs, as these drugs decreases the seizure threshold, and obviously there is aggravation of seizure in epileptics. Then alpha adrenergic blockade, that results in postural hypotension and there is palpitation. Anticholinergic action, the cardinal anticholinergic actions are dry mouth, blurring of vision because of dilatation of pupil, constipation, urinary hesitancy in elderly males, then absent in high potent agents. Then in endocrines, there is amenorrhea, infertility, gynecomastia, galactorrhea due to hyperprolactinemia and low level of gonadotropins. Occurs infrequently with prolonged use. Then next adverse effect is extrapyramidal disturbance. This is very important and it is a major dose limiting side effects, more prominent with high potency drugs. There are a number of extrapyramidal disturbance which can occur with these drugs. These are the subjects of general medicine, but here we will discuss in very short the different types of extrapyramidal symptoms. The first symptom is Parkinsonism with typical manifestation of rigidity, tremor, hypokinesia, mask-like faces, shuffling gait, appears between 1 to 4 weeks of therapy and persists unless dose is reduced. Acute muscular dystonia, there is bizarre muscular spasm mostly involving linguofacial muscle, there is grimacing, torticollis and locked jaw. Then akaesthesia, this can be described as there is restlessness, feeling of discomfort, apparent agitation and manifested as a compelling desire to move about, but without anxiety is seen in some patients between 1 to 8 weeks of therapy. And sometimes it may be mistaken for exacerbation of psychosis. This point is important, one should remember. Then next extrapyramidal disturbance is malignant neuroleptic syndrome. This is a Rare with high doses of potent agents. This occurs very rarely. Patient develops marked rigidity, immobility, tremor, fever, semi-consciousness, fluctuating blood pressure and heart rate. Myoglobin may be present in blood, last for 5 to 10 days after drug withdrawal if this occurs, because once this appears, this problem appears, one should immediately stop the drug, and with stoppage of drug within 5 to 10 days usually this vanishes from the blood, but if it remains persist, it results in fatal consequences. Patient dies of malignant neuroleptic syndrome. The drugs which can be benefited in this condition is intravenous dantrolene and may benefit, and bromocriptine in large doses have been found to be useful. Then tardive dyskinesia. This is another type of extrapyramidal symptom, occurs late. There is manifest as purposeless involuntary facial and limb movements like constant chewing, pouting, puffing of cheeks, lip licking, chorioathetoid movement. These are all atypical movement of upper lips, chorioathetoid movement. More you will get in your medicines about chorioathetoid movement. Miscellaneous, with this drug there is weight gain, blue pigmentation of exposed skin, corneal and lenticular opacities, then especially with thyroidism, then retinal degeneration. Cholestatic jaundice occurs between 2 to 4 weeks of starting therapy. Then skin rashes, urticaria, contact dermatitis, photosensitivity, more with chlorpromazine, and lastly it is the agranulocytosis which may occur. So these are the adverse effects of antipsychotic drugs. Now let us discuss the therapeutic uses. First use is obviously in psychosis. The first and foremost use in schizophrenia. These neuroleptics are used primarily in functional psychosis, where the etiology is not known. It has definite, indefinable but therapeutic effect in all forms. It is claimed that 90% of patients will have some benefit with these drugs. It produces a wide range of symptom relief. It controls positive symptoms, that is hallucination, delusions, disorganized thoughts, restlessness, insomnia, anxiety, fighting, aggression, better than negative symptoms, that is the apathy, loss of insight and volition, affective flattening, poverty of speech, social withdrawal. Neuroleptics primarily used in functional psychosis, and they tend to restore cognitive, affective and motor disturbances, and helps, as I said, up to 90% patients to lead a normal life in society. But some patients do not respond, and virtually no one responds completely. Now the choice of drug. Choice of drug is largely empirical. It depends, it varies from clinician to clinician, guided by presenting symptoms and the clinical experience of the doctor. For drug selection, if extrapyramidal side effects must be avoided, the drugs which are preferred are thioridazine, clozapine and olanzapine. In organic brain syndrome, neuroleptics are used on short-term basis. Dose of antipsychotic drugs should be individualized by titration with the symptom and kept at minimum. In chronic schizophrenia, maximal therapeutic effect is seen after 2 to 4 months of therapy. However, injected neuroleptics control aggressive symptoms of acute schizophrenia over hours or a few days. Next use is an anxiety. It is not an ideal drug for anxiety, controlling the symptoms of anxiety, though it is effective. It should not be used, as more safer drug are available, which we will discuss in our next class in anti-anxiety drugs. The most common one is the benzodiazepine. There are a number of other drugs, so it should be avoided for treating anxiety ideally. Then antiemetic. Again, neuroleptics are potent antiemetic, but it should not be given unless the cause of vomiting has been identified, as more safer antiemetics are nowadays available. Now the other uses: to potentiate hypnotics, analgesic and anesthetics, justified only in anesthetic practice. It is said. Intractable hiccup may respond to parenteral chlorpromazine. In tetanus, chlorpromazine is a secondary drug to achieve skeletal muscle relaxation. Then other miscellaneous use are like alcoholic hallucination, Huntington's disease. Now one important point is, whenever we use this drug in psychosis, there are certain target symptoms. The target symptoms for which antipsychotic agents are given, especially effective, includes agitation, hostility, delusion, hallucination, insomnia, anxiety, negativism. Delayed improvement occurs in movement, judgment, memory and orientation. Most favorable prognosis occurs with acute illness of brief duration who functioned relatively well prior to illness. So these are the uses of this drugs for psychosis. One important question remains is the sudden psychotic attack. Sudden psychotic attack patients may come in emergency with severe symptoms of psychosis like agitation, disturbance. There may be patient may create lot of disturbance in emergency. Now what drug should be given? This is an emergency situation in which there are a number of drugs as we discussed, but there must be some guidelines to control these acute psychotic patients who come in emergency. The drugs, one group of drug, at least one should remember, I am saying one set of drug, that is one injection of chlorpromazine, one injection of haloperidol and one injection of promethazine. These 3 shots ideally should be given at a time to control the acute psychotic symptoms in emergency conditions. The first 2 drugs, that is the chlorpromazine and haloperidol, will control the psychosis, and the promethazine, this will add the sedative action of the other 2 drugs, and it will prevent the extrapyramidal symptoms which may occur with chlorpromazine and haloperidol. So at least you should remember, if in acute condition, if patient comes, what one should do. Thank you.